Hi, I'm Oliver Brown. I'm joined again by Stephen Bannister, a director, here to talk about all things sea market and discuss what changes or not there have been since last week. Welcome, Steve.
Hi, Ollie. Hi, everyone. Good to be here as always.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I think this is an interesting one. I think let's be honest here. There hasn't been a huge amount of movement since last week. We are at least with the sea market in the same place, but we have seen a little bit of strength come back into the Aussie dollar. Give us a bit of an update of where we are on that, Steve, and yeah, then sort of talk about current challenges.
Yeah, I think it's been an interesting week overall, coupled with a holiday in the US. Monday at the same time means that we've definitely had a quiet closed market yesterday, although we did see Robusta up around $20 a ton. Overall, though, the exchange really came off slightly over all of the sessions, so not really adding anything more to the conversation apart from people really asking the question: is the frost, is the potential drought priced in or not at the same time? And I think it's really turning into that two-stage weather market about too much rain in Colombia, not enough rain in Brazil. I mean, we touch on this every week.
Yeah.
So enough said on that in reality, but I think there will be potential pressure on prices going forward in those two origins, and we've got to remember that they're the primary origins for Arabica that really drive the market at the same time. Has been great to see the bit of strength in the Aussie dollar recovering all the way down to sort of low 70s into 74. 20 or so as we record this at the same time, coupled probably more on US dollar, US weakness than anything really brilliant that we are doing in Australia as an economy right now. I think it's the drive to 80% vaccinations and opening up our economy that can't come fast enough for us right now.
Definitely. And again, I think one of the things for me this week has sort of really been drilled home is, the idea again of the containers or availability of slots and shipping. I can see all across the board and specifically we've seen it from Colombia and Brazil, that thing of if we want coffee in January, in February, we've got to be booking it now. And that's so different to where we were at last year.
Yeah, I really I saw an interesting comic to start off with, which was what gives people a feeling of power at the moment, and it's empty container slots or release containers. It's not about fast cars or fancy watches. It's about just getting boxes and able to put them on a vessel at the right price that makes us feel like we're actually doing something. I think, I mean, again, we don't want to reinvent the wheel on what we've been saying, but it is challenging. And now we're into September, we're going into October, and that primary part of the year where all the Christmas goods and everything else starts shipping at the same time. So whatever congestion there was is going to be ramped up again as we go into a more heavier period in the shipping cycle in general for this time of the year. So the other thing is that when we're really agreeing to ship something now, we're unfortunately at the back of the queue, and that container queue just to get something out of origin is still 6 to 8 weeks. So, hey, I wrote a contract, can we ship in October? Maybe the last week of October is the comments that sometimes we're getting. Some people are offering November forward. So it still is, it's really challenging. Or if you want to get that space on the vessel with the shipping line, then you're paying 2, 3, 4 times the ocean freight costs, which is just astronomical compared to where we've been before.
Yeah, absolutely. It's again, it's been so difficult to manage our customers' expectations, because they are so used to that relatively short term advantage of, like, yeah, book, oh yeah, ship next month, I get the coffee 60 days later, brill, at least. And it's been so difficult to be like, no, that's not the case anymore. And that's gonna, unfortunately, I feel, be something that would, our industry, the industry, is going to have to learn, because it's not been like this before, is it?
Yeah, I mean, we've been really lucky with cultivating sort of just-in-time supply chains for a lot of people for a while now. And we haven't had many hiccups, whether it's at the origin themselves or with transshipment or just availability. But now we're coupled with not one, but normally 2 or 3 points of delays, and what generally was taking 2 months is maybe taking 4, or maybe taking more in some instances. As we look at all the challenges, and the challenges might not even be in our own environment, they might be available labor to be working the ports in the origin countries because they're in lockdown, or similarly available people to work the transshipment ports at the same time. So there's all these externalities that we took for granted for a long time.
Give a bit more insight into the transshipment. I mean, we mentioned it last week. We've just been mentioning it now and again. There's the assumption that everyone knows what we mean when we say transshipment. I know that a lot of people will be surprised by the fact that the coffee doesn't come directly to us at all, and it does go via various locations. Just give a bit more of an insight for
Yeah,
those.
so transshipment is when your container stops off from coming from country A and has to be, let's say, rerouted down to Australia. One of our main transshipment ports is Singapore, along with Kaohsiung, along with a number of other ports in China, as well as Colombo as well. And we've got to think that in some instances, we're dealing with coffee that's in a landlocked country, be it Burundi, be it Ethiopia, at the same time. So these are coffees that need to be put on a truck, trucked down to Dar es Salaam in the case of Ethiopia, which is a completely different country again.
Yeah.
In Djibouti there, where the port is. And then it maybe will go through Saudi, then it will go through somewhere else, then it will get to Singapore, then it will come down, depending on the matrix of vessels that it negotiates on its way down to us in Australia or wherever the customer may be at the same time. So yeah, transshipment is the sort of stop-off point for the container on its scenic cruise between origin and destination.
And the scary thing is, it's a part of the trip that we can't control either, is it? Because I mean, we've done everything we can to get a slot, to get the coffee in second half October, and yet it's
yeah, again, we're relying on vessel A arriving on time to again leave on vessel B. Now sometimes vessel B is full or overbooked or doesn't arrive or is rerouted. We've seen all instances of these sort of things happen over the last 6 months. And yeah, we've also seen a continual backlog as things really have sort of channeled up from the incidents in the Panama Canal, Suez Canal.
Yes,
That one. Suez Canal. Sorry, Panama. The Suez Canal at the same time, and that was clear. But then we went into different ports. I think the current port in Ningbo in China is one that's been on the radar that's been having severe congestion, and that just continues to bottleneck up and other things. The other thing is, where are all the empty containers now? There's lots of empty containers down here in Australia sometimes, as we don't have necessarily enough to re-export. I think there was recently one shipping line took a whole boatload of empty containers up to China so they could get back in the cycle of going out to various countries and coming back and everything else. So that's also a challenge.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And again, that's not something that, again, people are even considering when they're thinking about this kind of thing. So it's really important to remember and keep an eye on.
These are sometimes the nuances of, I guess, more supply chain than even coffee trading or anything else that we look at as risks and everything every day in working out which shipping line, how long is that shipping line, how long is that travel time from the destination to the origin and everything like that. And these are all things that we're continuing to reassess on a weekly basis for our customers.
Yeah, definitely. I know I've always got a long list of people to call to let them know there have been updates. But yeah, thanks for that, Steve. I think going forward, let's sort of leave it there, because let's not make news of stuff that's not there necessarily. So thank you very much for that, and I think a really interesting insight into sort of a bit of the background. Again, I encourage those of you that want to reach out or ask any questions, please do. I know sometimes what Steve and I talk about may seem quite technical, but if you've got any other questions or any subjects you want to delve into, we'd be very happy to help. Steve, thank you very much for joining again.
Thanks, Ollie. And just encourage everyone to get out in the backyard and do a bit of a rain dance for Brazil. That might just soften things a little bit for all of us as we go over the next couple of weeks in the coffee cycle.
Definitely, yeah, much appreciated. Thanks.